If you want a custom build, need it done fast and on a tight budget, then you need to push it every week. So join us on our Camphill Build Diary and let's get it built. Hey guys, and welcome back to our Camphill Build Diary. So I'm going to share my screen in a second and join me for a bit of a critique on the existing design, and I'm going to share some ideas that I have for a new design. Okay, so here we are with the existing design. Okay, so a bit of context to start off with. My sister did this set off documentation in about 2018. And at the time, she had a budget in mind and she was looking for a builder. Now, she wanted someone who was sort of Queensland specific or Queensland registered, which we need anyway because that's going to have to happen in any case. And she got in touch with a guy who kind of ran like a turnkey operation. So he was a builder. He could also do the document. He sort of was going to give her a bit of a build price. So like most turnkey builders, she gave him the budget, and then they started off on this first stage of getting some working drawings together to submit to council for a planning amendment. I think probably one of the biggest things that people do who are a little bit inexperienced in this area is they look for solutions in the marketplace, and that's completely normal. And they're not quite sure they haven't really done the work to understand what they need to their specific requirements. So what happens then is they start to engage with all these different providers in the industry, and they all start to sell them their products and the offering and the services that they have. Now, really what you want to do is take 5 steps back and think about what it is that you need, and then find someone who can help you actually procure the right service based on your needs. Now, I think what was probably disappointing for her in the first respect is she sort of gave him a budget thinking that once they started the working drawings that everything was going to sort of follow through on that budget. And what then transpired is they did these drawings, and she was collaborated with and she signed off on things all, the whole way through. So this is not completely one-sided, but they went through the design, not a full design process. They went through what the turnkey design process is, which is quite limited information depending on the type of turnkey provider that you're working with. And, after the planning amendment was approved and they had some more working drawings, then the building price was put together, and that was $250,000 over what she had hoped or what she had given them as the budget. Now, that comes from a whole range of reasons, and I'm happy to go into that in another episode. But for now, I'm going to really want to stick on what's wrong with this design, because I think part of the problem is the design is probably started off on the wrong foot anyway. And then she spent about 18 grand. Yeah, I think she said about 18 grand working through these initial drawings to get the planning approval in place with this person, only to have her sort of rug pulled out from under her because it was just too expensive for them to build. So what's happening here? We have a neighbouring residence here. We have a neighbouring residence here. She's got a long, narrow site, so that comes with its own design challenges. And she has sort of 2 street frontages. So on Wall Street here is the long side, and it looks onto a school grounds, and there's some beautiful trees on the streetscape. The nice thing is she looks out onto the school grounds like a field, so it's really lovely, and it's not built up on the other side of Wall Street. On Stephen Street is a hill. It's quite a steep hill, and there's properties across the road that are built up. They're not overwhelming properties or anything like that. They're just nice residential homes. But there's no street parking on this side, I don't think. But there is some street parking here on Stephen Street. The other thing that I think is interesting will be when we do a site visit, because sometimes the drawings don't always tell the full story on contours, the levels, the view lines, and all those fun bits. So some key things to consider here. We've got the driveway coming off. There's an existing crossover. The crossover is the part of the driveway that connects the road and the driveway and goes across the footpath. So that's why it's called a crossover. We've got a front door happening here, and we've got a pool kind of happening here to the north. Okay, floor plan. So my first reaction to the floor plan is it's really big. I struggle with this because I think in Victoria, while some people really believe big is better, I know from my personal experience, big is not always better. But because in some areas we can be dealing with smaller land sizes, we do tend to design maybe in a more considerate way to a smaller block. I also am a building scientist and am very much into sustainability. And I do believe that the footprint that we leave on this world is so impactful, particularly on the footprint of how we build and how we change our environment to suit our building. So I really believe in a smaller footprint if we can. I think it's better for the environment. I think it's more sustainable. But that's not, that's something that is becoming a little bit more accepted. So when I told my sister that I thought this house was just way too big, initially she was a bit shocked because I suppose in her instinct she felt like mum and dad are going to live there. She really needs a big house. This seemed to be the norm of what size houses people were building in Brisbane, and it seems to be this is what she felt looking at the other houses in her suburb, how big the house needed to be. Now, 5-bedroom, media room, sitting room, downstairs kitchen, living and dining. I think the sitting room is superfluous. I think the staircase is not the best use of the land area or the space allocation. The front door is really big. A pivot door is super expensive, especially a 1.5 pivot door. So I'm looking at this and I'm just seeing dollars everywhere. I think the media room, I know in Queensland the media room is very popular, so I think that's important to have. I can see how this footprint or this floor plan is starting to address how an intergenerational home might operate. And the scullery being closed off is not ideal. The kitchen being in that corner, I can understand it because there's a house on the west side of the boundary, which is this wall back here. They're looking to not be, looking at that house and that retaining wall all the time. Okay, the upstairs. So again, you come up the stairs through here. So that's sort of our central spine. And then we've got the two wings of the house. We've got the master bedroom, which is absolutely massive. So master bedroom, a his, and a hers. Funnily enough, the hers walk-in robe is much bigger than the his. I don't think that's particularly fair. But look, the walk-in robe here is the size of a bedroom. So again, just too much space. We've got bedroom 6 study. Really, really, really humongous ensuite here. A rumpus room. So we've got a third living. Because don't forget downstairs we've got a media room, a living room, a sitting room, and now we've got another rumpus area upstairs. And we've got 3 bedrooms with, again, 2 bathrooms. So I can understand why this price came in the way it came in. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, and 3 living spaces, along with a balcony and a double garage. So really big house. So when you have a really big floor plan, you tend to have a very voluminous, bulky house. And what's been put forward here is a fairly standard, Queensland, modernish Queenslander house. That's sort of I would say this is a wall-on-wall construction. It's very bulky. There's the roof line. It's got these 2 separate parts to it. So trying to kind of connect by this central flat-lined vestibule, I think that's the right word to say. It's not my taste, I'll be honest. I don't think my sister really looked at this and thought, would I love this if it was built? I think she was looking at it from a point of view of, I need all these spaces and what's going to get me these spaces for the money I have to spend. And that's not wrong. And a lot of people look at the problem of building and designing and building in this way. She's also gone straight to a turnkey builder. So she hasn't engaged with architects or building designers. She's sort of gone straight to what would be a drafty or a builder who can basically say, yep, I can build that product for you. And again, that was done because of the time and what was happening at the time in 2018. I think, if I'm being honest, and I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't say to her face, but she's probably dodged a bullet by not building this house. The other thing that just doesn't really work very well is this sort of alfresco. Let me move my face. This alfresco to the north is really, I think, a little bit uninspired. I think the balcony meets the town planning requirements, and I think that this window here it's been like this fire station. That's called a fire station servery window. Could be really lovely. I think there's always something good to find in any design, and there's always elements that are going to be really nice that you want to carry through to any iterations. And looking at your drawings and trying to establish what you like about them and what you don't like about them is probably a great way to look at them critically. These are fairly standard window sizes and placements, and I think there's an opportunity missed here on the north. So In terms of opportunity missed from a design point of view, I think there's an opportunity missed on the alfresco, having a better connection to the house and the street on Stephen Street. There's an opportunity missed on the north elevation in design. There's an opportunity missed in respect to this house being quite bulky and overbearing to the Wild Street scape. So it's a very long and voluminous house. It almost seems like two houses with a central house, which it's not. So there's a bit of work to do for the design and the planning amendment. So if you continue to join us as we work through the problems of rectifying this design.